lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you some of our favourite seasonal books. Now these are books that I absolutely love to read when the seasons are starting to change. So at this time of year, as we're in September, I absolutely love all these books because it really helps my children understand what's happening outside, why the weather is changing, why the plants and the landscapes are slowly changing into a new season, and all these books help explain that, some through fun stories, others through nature books, and some just through beautiful pictures. I'm also joined by my sweet little puppy. This is Teasel, the long-haired dachshund. Oh, I just got a kiss in the mouth. She's very sweet, but she's only little, so she might be pitter-pattering around on the floor or joining me for a bit of this video, so just bear that in mind. So I'm going to start off with a couple of really lovely board books. Then I'm going to go into some books which are more based around stories, and then finish up with some that are more nature books. So I always have a real soft spot for Gerd and Muller's seasonal books. These board books were some of the first seasonal books actually I ever purchased my children. This is a winter one, and there's obviously spring, summer, autumn and winter in the collection. And there's no words in these books, there's just scenes of things that happen during the season. And this is a lovely little book to get for maybe like a 1-year-old, and you can teach them all about the seasons through gentle stories and just talking about what's in the book. Great way of building vocabulary. We still enjoy this, and my children are 3 and 5. Next up is this beautiful book by Eva Maria Ott Heidmann called Herbst. Now this is obviously German, but there's no words inside, so that obviously isn't going to matter. This is very similar to the Gerd and Muller, except the illustrations are a little bit more Waldorf inspired. Very gentle and dreamy, and again it brings you through different scenes as the season evolves. This is definitely one of my favourite books of all time. It's a gorgeous board book that would suit a variety of ages, so I highly recommend this whole series. Now a book that encompasses all the seasons into one book is Rain or Shine by Ronald Hynek. This one is well loved, so it's almost starting to fall apart, but it goes through, hold on if I can open it up. It goes through sort of spring, summer, the beach pages being very well loved, autumn, later autumn, and then winter. The illustrations are really engaging for children. I adore this book. There's lots to talk about. You can make up stories with these pictures and point out things, do a little mini search and find. Really, really sweet, beautiful book that's been really popular with my children. So for those younger ages, these three would be my #1 recommendations. Rain or Shine, this German series by Eva Marie Ott Heidmann, and the Gerd and Muller seasonal series. These three are great board books to invest in to really help younger children, toddlers and babies understand some of the seasonal changes and just starting to add that into their world. Now a couple of mini books that would work for slightly older children. We've got Cecily Mary Barker's Flower Fairies series. Now this one's the autumn one, and what they do is they have different little poems for each seasonal flower, and then that seasonal flower also is a fairy. So that's the acorn fairy, and then there's a little rhyme beside it, the dogwood fairy. And this is lovely for children that adore fairies and gnomes, and a good way of getting them interested in seeds and nuts and fruits and leaves, because these flower fairies really bring that to life. Another sweet book is Around the Year by Elsa Beskow. This is a lovely one just to read a nice rhyme every turn of the season, or you might like to use this in a monthly display that you have out on your mantelpiece or windowsill. So here we go, for May we have a little poem and then a sweet little picture, and it just goes through the entire year with a lovely little picture and poem for each month of the year. A very sweet stocking filler, and a great one for a variety of ages as well, so I love that one. Now we're moving into the slightly more in-depth books. These are storybooks that I absolutely love, that really do encompass that seasonal spirit and covers the whole year in a book. So I'm going to start off with Little Witch Hazel. This is by Phoebe Wall. This contains 4 tales from the woods that Little Witch Hazel lives in. And the illustrations, as you can expect by Phoebe Wall, are absolutely incredible. There's spring, And little witch Hazel goes off on adventures around the woods, and the tales are obviously quite seasonal, but just look at those pictures, they are so epically beautiful. And there's a little baby chick. We've just finished reading the autumn story, which was gorgeous, and I'm really looking forward to reading the winter one. I haven't read it yet, I'm saving it up for December. But just look at that, it's so beautiful. And so all 4 seasons in one book on this one, and gorgeous illustrations, so a real magical addition to a bookshelf. Another book that's quite similar is Mouse's Wood by Alice Melvin. This is a new book, it came out this year, and it is incredible. If you don't own this, you really must. I think a lot of you probably have already got this in your libraries, because a lot of you did message me saying, have you bought Mouse's Wood? The answer was I had, but I wanted to keep it for this particular video. But it is the most enchanting thing ever. There's this gorgeous map of the woods at the start, and there's all these different little homes for all the different woodland creatures. And it goes through the whole year, so you start off with the cold winter, and then you get to peek inside the little houses. It's so incredibly charming and beautifully illustrated, and personally I would happily live in any of these houses. They are just up my street, very cozy and snug. And we've got a lovely summer scene. Look at Badger's little house there. Oh, it's just so gorgeous. So it just goes on and on. A beautiful book to read. I read this like the whole story in one go, and then it goes through all the seasons in the whole tale, as opposed to Little Witch Hazel, which I just pick out one seasonal story to read from when we're in that particular season. But this one also just feels like so perfect to pull out when the seasons are changing, and it's just so magical and inspiring for children, and I highly, highly recommend this one. Another charming book is The Story Orchestra, 4 Seasons in One Day, illustrated by Jessica Courtney Tickle. We have a lot of these Story Orchestra books, and they are superb. They take you through, in this case, the 4 Seasons by Vivaldi. There's a little story to go with it, and then the buttons to press. So the music, as you can hear, is really clear, which is fantastic. And obviously this one is my choice for this particular video because it's going through all 4 seasons in one day. So it's a great one to show to children and get them to kind of like understand the idea of these different seasons and what they are, what they might look like, and in this case what they might sound like, which is just so fun. So a beautiful addition to any bookshelf. And again, actually this video could be quite useful if you're looking for Christmas gifts, because all these books are really beautiful quality, real gift quality books. So if you are looking for some nice gifts for children this year, this video could be quite useful. Next up is Green on Green by Diane White and Felicita Sala. The illustrations in this book are some of my favourites, and it goes through this life of this family from spring all the way to summer, and at the end we've got winter. Now the illustrations in this are very, very beautiful, but on top of that, they are also, the writing is incredibly evocative and poetic, and Diane White her books are some of my absolute hands down favourite books for the writing. Her use of descriptive words is just so rich and inviting, and just, yeah, you've got to read them to really fully absorb yourself into her world, but it's well worth hunting out these books. They're incredible, and again the quality is so good in these books that they would make great gifts as well. Okay, so next up is Brown Bear Woods, If You Go Down to the Woods Today, illustrated by Freya Hartis, poemed by Rachel Piercy. Now we've had this for a while, so it's starting to fall apart a little bit, but it is an incredibly sweet search and find book. It goes through this wood through the whole season. Apologies, I'm definitely struggling to get my words in my head today. I'm just having one of those days where I cannot put a sentence together, so it's a really bad day to choose to film, so apologies for that. Hopefully the video still makes sense. But yes, what I'm saying is this book goes through the seasons, through this forest, and these little creatures that have a school and parties, and it's just, there is so much to see on each page. and it's just absolutely perfect. This is like a 10 out of 10, outstandingly perfect book. One that's, as you can see, has been well loved by my children. If you don't own this, you absolutely must go get it because it is a great addition to your collection. Bramley Hedge, now you've heard me talk about this so many times. This is the complete collection. It's by Jill Barklam. So this contains all the seasonal stories plus some extra stories as well. Now the Bramley Hedge stories have the spring story, summer story, autumn story and winter story. You can buy them individually as well if you wish. The illustrations are so detailed, so it feels like you're looking into a little doll's house. They're so charming. And they're very seasonal, so as you would expect with a story called Autumn Story, it's going to take you through something which is very of the season. So for Autumn Story, there's a little mouse called Primrose, and she gets lost in the forest, and at the very end she gets found and she gets tucked up in bed with a nice fire and some acorn coffee. So it's just so cozy and cute, these stories. I can't recommend them enough. They're real classics. And they're well worth investing in. Highly recommend. And if you are looking for a gift for a child, this complete collection is a great one because it contains those full season stories, but also some other gorgeous stories like the Sea Story. I think there's one called like The Hidden Staircase. Really beautiful. They're all top quality, amazing stories. Highly recommend them. That is Kennard Pack series. Now this one is Goodbye Summer, Hello Autumn, but he obviously has other books that are like Goodbye Autumn, Hello Winter, Goodbye Winter, Hello Spring. And they're lovely because they go through that transition from one season to another. So it starts off with like pretty much like a walk through a place, and it shows you as the seasons change. It's very simple language in it, really sweet illustrations, a really good one for that transition period between seasons. This is another newish series to me, but I think it's definitely worth a mention. It's the Little Country Cottage Autumn Treasury of Recipes, Crafts and Wisdom, and there are other ones obviously for spring, summer and winter as well. This contains really fun, colourful, cute retro illustrations, and it also contains lots of crafts and some interesting facts as well. So for example, we've got recipe for sweet pumpkin muffins, uses for pumpkin seeds, log and some information about mushrooms, how to build a herb drying branch. So like quite fun little things to do, very nature based, and also some interesting facts. So I thought that one was definitely worth a mention. Then another classic that we've had for absolute ages and I love it to bits is Nicola Davies' A First Book of Nature. This is another sort of staple book for me. It is so beautifully illustrated by the artist Mark Herald. And just look at this picture of the spring with the hares. So gorgeous. And actually behind me I've got one of Mark Herald's cards. So you can tell I am a huge fan of his work. He is not really an illustrator such as an artist really. And his work reflects that. It's just incredibly magical and beautiful. So this book is divided into seasons. Which is really useful. So for autumn you have a beautiful introduction page, and then you've got different sort of nature themes. So this is wind and leaves with some sort of little poems written by Nicola Davies, and these amazing illustrations as well. We've got worms, and then for winter we've got horse, snow song, pigeons, deer in the dawn. Just so beautiful. The whole thing is incredible, and just it's such a feast for the eyes. A really beautiful thing, this book, and something I would have been happy to receive as a present. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so moving on to a couple of books by Clover Robin, who again is a beautiful, has some beautiful work. She's an artist that specialises in collage, and this one is all about nature through the season. So it contains things like a hidden world, and then there's this beautiful fold out, and then some interesting details. Sorry, there's so much noise going on in the background with the puppy. And then interesting details. So a nice simple one to read for children who are sort of getting interested in how the world works, and science and things like that. This is perfect. I just think illustrations are very engaging and beautiful. It's interesting and also covers all the things you would see through the transition of the year. The book is this one, Seasons by Hannah Pang. This one goes through what the seasons look like in different parts of the world. So, let me open it up. Starts off with a European oak, and then there are these really clever flaps that show you all the different things that happen through the year. There's autumn, and the full page is dedicated to winter. So this one is Alaska. So it goes through the different seasons in Alaska, and then we've got summer in Alaska. So lots of different animals to learn about, beautiful scene to explore. Great book, just so many interesting facts in this one, really engaging illustrations, and covers the idea of seasons but in a global way, which is fantastic. Last but not least is this Carousel book, A Year in Nature. This is by, Eleanor Taylor and Hazel Marshall. And this one is very, very beautiful. It folds out like this, and it contains a different little section or quarter for each season. So here's autumn, summer, spring, and then we've got winter. So a beautiful one that you could set out on a table if you're doing a bit of learning about the seasons. And yeah, just a very beautiful one to add to your collection. So that's it for this video. Apologies if it was a bit quick, but I didn't anticipate how hard it was going to be with the puppy running around and also the boys getting up to mischief next door. But I hope you still found this interesting and inspirational. If you've got any questions at all, just leave me a comment below, or if you'd like a peek inside one of those books again, just let me know and I can do that over on my Instagram. I'm at Becky O'Cole or at Slow Natural Mama. And yes, also make sure you check out my Patreon. If you enjoyed this video, do think about becoming a supporter over on Patreon. There's a couple of tiers. One is just a supporting tier, which is fantastic. So if you did like this video, do consider that one. But if you want to join the Rooted community, which is the higher tier, I've got a wonderful elderberry masterclass coming up where I'll teach you how to make elderberry syrups, elixirs, teas, and all sorts of delicious herbal remedies. So I'll link all that below, and all the books will be linked below on Amazon and also bookshop.org as well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye from Teasel and bye from me, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye!